Welcome to the Indian Newslink podcast series Coffee with Kamil by Kamil Lakshman.
Recent events have led me to the conclusion that social media has a lot of power beyond our comprehension and understanding. If a particular messaging, branding, marketing is put in place with a very deliberate aim to manipulate others' mind. Some people call it propaganda, some people call it fake news, whatever you call it. But it seems to be a global problem. Then the likely aim or the likely target is easily manipulated. And if one person is manipulated, who then tells another person, and if the messaging is all over the place, then that very quickly becomes the reality. It's a bit like the gossip channels that used to operate in the olden days. Somebody whispered something to somebody else whispered it to somebody else, and before you knew it, whether there was any truth in it or not, it became the truth. And then the third party would say to the fourth, fifth, sixth party with such great knowingness that in fact is that's a fact, whatever is being said. Now, why we as human beings are so gullible? Why do we accept something that somebody tells us as being gospel truth? Why do we not go to the source and try and find out? Why are we so trusting and believing of that version of events or how a fact, so something being considered to be a fact? Why do we do that? Now, this is really, really interesting. The reason it's really interesting is that you could conduct your life and you could make decisions based on these snippets of information or snippets of facts that sometimes consciously have been fed to you or subconsciously been fed to you. Whichever way it is being fed, it is entering the mind. The mind is getting influenced, and your decision-making thereby is being influenced by that thought that was put in. Now, this is a topic that I've dealt with before, but it is becoming quite apparent now that this is a real problem. It's a real problem because if it is not the truth, and it's far away from the truth, then it is potentially a problem for the decision maker, because the decision maker is making a decision based on flawed information, on the basis that it's the truth, on the basis that's how it is, on the basis that it's correct information. So, and this we see in across number of areas. We see it in politics, we see it in what we buy, we see it in how we make assessment as to where we want to go, what we want to do, what kind of relationship we want to get into. And if it is flawed and we've made a particular decision based on that flawed information, then you can imagine what the outcome will be. The outcome will be disappointment. The outcome will be the expectation has not been met because you've been primed up to believe something when in fact the delivery of it is not that. And disillusionment. And all of this is dangerous for us because it could lead us to make certain decisions that are not good for us at all. In fact, detrimental for us. So are we really interested in being conned? Because that's what it comes down to. You have been conned into thinking something, doing something, or feeling something. And I don't think any of us want to be put in that position. But believe it or not, that is what's happening. That is what social media is doing. And the algorithms, that the way it is designed is very, very smart. So be very careful when you are on social media, what you are picking up, where you're going. Actually, you really have no choice when you're on it, because it's feeding you what it thinks it needs to feed you based on your searches, based on what you are clicking. So I suppose the solution is not to go on social media, which of course is not a solution, because most people cannot do without it, because it forms a certain entertainment, or it fills time, or it's some kind of interaction, or sometimes it's a medium for learning things. But whatever it is, if you can't stop yourself, then just remember that you are subject for manipulation, and be aware, be vigilant about it, because if you don't want other people to make decisions for you, then you have to be more mindful.
Thank you for listening to the Indian Newslink podcast series Coffee with Kamil by Kamil Lakshman.